situations mean. And I became fascinated with how human beings interrelate, and they interrelate, and how business relates. So I don't know if that makes sense, but having observational skills is a survival skill bar none. And you know, and then being able to be articulate and speak into that. Because if you can, I have the ability to watch a situation and then know what needs to be spoken or done around it in order to make it the best situation possible. I think that's why I love negotiation. Because, you know, it's such a and you know, so as I grew older, one of the things that happened to me going to this seminar as an entrepreneur, it was my first payroll. I had to make my first payroll. Wow, if you haven't had to make payroll, you are not an entrepreneur. And no, I don't mean any offense by that, but hey, that's a whole different level. And these people talking up front, and they didn't know anything about what they were talking about. I'm like, oh my God, the rest of these people in here? Well, that's just going to bury them. So I stood up and raised my hand, and here I was shy, didn't even talk. I stood up and raised my hand, the next thing I know, I'm leading that program. And then went on to another program, and I started leading. Now, the funny thing is I could lead because it was my conviction and my knowledge that could deliver. And then once we went on break, I went back to shy, stuttering, you know, all that. It's crazy. But what was great about that is I really realized that transformation, you know, the power of one's perspective, let's put it this way, the power of how one sees the world directly relates to their skill sets. And that's going to give you particular outcomes, right? So I became really, I've spent a good 20 years now really studying, mastering for myself, and then giving that to others as an example. You know, what is it over here? What are all the different particles that stop me? Oh, okay, I want to go do this, but then I get stopped. What is that? How do I break that out of the way? Okay, and part of the thing about me is I just live by example. You know, I can't, I'm not blessed with being one of those that can teach something that I haven't mastered over here. I wish I could. But I just think it serves best if I've traveled some spaces and then can work with other people in other areas that they can travel those too. You know, for me as a woman, the thing that I've noticed the most is that I was just always somebody who was there to serve. And in its purest state, service is just a beautiful flow. It's just a beautiful flow. But somewhere along the line, probably because I didn't have a lot of self-esteem and was growing it, service became servant. And it became a way of connecting and proving and striving, and oh my God, maybe you'll like me then, or maybe I'll like myself then. It's really proving myself to myself. I think that's why I had 2 graduate degrees. Isn't one enough? But you know, it's always a series of accomplishments, and yet I wasn't fulfilled in here. And every time I had another accomplishment, I was like, oh God, I don't, you know, maybe I just don't have it yet. And it was interesting. You know, I was sharing with someone the other day. It was like a couple of years ago. I looked in the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, I gained 50 pounds. I'm like, when did my arms get arms? Like, what happened to me? And why? You know, I asked myself, I'm like, Kimber, okay, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, I want this for this person, this for this person. I'm like, no. What do you want? And it was a truth-telling part to me, and it's what helped me lose the 50 pounds. It wasn't I didn't change my diet. I just started paying attention to what was over here. And that led me through this whole journey these last few years. And being somebody who was so committed to service, but didn't allow myself to have the pleasure of a hobby, a pleasure of, you know, really the balance and joy that I wanted. Be like, I'll get to that. It burnt me out. And the interesting thing about that is, if that just happens to so many of us. I mean, it doesn't really matter, at least for women. We're so busy with all the people we have to take care of that maybe before we go to sleep we have a moment. But this last year, and this is a piece I think that's very fundamental for me, I just had to get really real with myself. And I spent a good majority of time, you know, in the business world, people, I would say, oh, well, this is how I see things or how I feel. And I'm like, no, 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 that's too bold. You need to step that back. So I kept stepping it back, you know, and still successful and still out there, but, you know, holding it in, and to the point I didn't even know what it was. And I just didn't feel any motivation in life. I had all these beautiful women around me, all of this stuff that I had done, and I just felt nothing. And I was exhausted. And the more I put out, the more people wanted from me. And that was lovely, but it was exhausting. I tell you, the two killers in life are adoration and negativity. They're both equally as damaging. You know, adoration is everybody loves you, but I tell you, you start believing that, and that's a bad thing, because then you're going to start thinking you're somebody. And also, all that adoration starts making you see yourself in a whole different way. And the negativity that comes to you, comes to me or anyone as a leader, you know, that just is a draw. So what I noticed is, as somebody who was out there service, but kind of like service like, oh, I'll help you, I'll save you kind of thing, I brought people to me, you know, in any way possible that they needed something from me. And I thought that I was wired and had it handled to give it. But I didn't, and it was coming from a well that was going dry, to the point of just really exhausting my entire body and system, every particle of it. And I had to come to this point. I said, okay, bring me in the people that will help me in all ways, spiritually, economic, you know, always, physically, especially physically, because the body was not taken anymore. And I guess you have to stop somebody like me, because, you know, we'll just keep running. And this last year, you know, last 8 months specifically, I took a time out. I stopped working. I've worked since I was 15. And I worked a little bit with this project, Get Your Woman On, but I had to get out of the situation. There was just so much pressure around me to perform in all areas, to be this perfect woman. You got to be the perfect wife. You got to be the perfect business person. You got to be out here and helping the whole community. You got to save the world. It was just so much pressure, and I wanted to deliver, and I didn't want to deliver at the same time. So I unplugged, and I said, I can't do it in this situation. And I wouldn't recommend that to everybody, but for me, headstrong, I had to do it. and especially even going to Kauai, which is probably what my story's about. You know, I never had a hobby, and I found myself in Kauai, and working with this amazing healer, Howard Wills, and with Marigold Somerset, and really just reconstructing my life had become so complicated and so much pressure. And they're like, it's really simple. You just have to do a couple things a day. And it's about balance, about taking care of yourself. It's about sitting in the sun and just taking an hour to just be, and enjoying the beauty around you. There's flowers, there's this, there's that. I was so busy all the time thinking about the 3 things I had to do next, I never even noticed what was around me. And you know, I would sit on the beach at night, and I learned how to gather up wood. I never made a fire without paper, and make a fire, and I would sit there on the beach and the stars with nobody around, beautiful ocean, dive at night for lobster, and, you know, cook it there. And I found something in that healing of the nature, of the quiet, of not speaking. I could go weeks with maybe speaking with 1 or 2 people, like really, just really getting quiet and centered, that I found this joy and peace. I think for the first time in my life, people can talk about self-love. I was like, woo-woo, yeah, okay, what is that? I have no idea. It's not something someone can give you. It's something only I could give to myself if I gave myself permission. And in finding that, I found that there was self-love to me was finding there was somebody over here that was worth paying attention to by me. And it didn't matter if anybody else paid attention. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about striving to get somebody to hear what I had to say. It was about, was I just willing to speak it? Was I just willing to walk it? Was I willing to be so present that I could notice the beauty of the ocean, of the flowers, of the breeze? Can I be so present that actually thoughts disappeared and I would have no thoughts in my head? And I was like, wow, there's no mind chatter. So I realized in that process I learned to heal my mind so that it would quiet. I learned to feel my heart and feel my body and nurture that. And understand that life wasn't about trying to get somewhere. Okay, I'll get the retirement done, I'll get this done. You know, maybe life was about for me just being able to be happy, to feel faith, hope, love, trust, to feel those things, and then to be able to just be present and not have to decide what's going to happen this month, next month. Maybe the flow of life would take me if I would just be willing to trust that and be open and clear enough. So I cleared out all the gunk, all the negativity, all the disappointment, all the resentment, all the blah, 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 all the ways that somebody hurt me or I hurt them or all that stuff.